In today's session, we'll just be, busting common myths about diabetes, which I'm sure you've all heard of. So we have 10 myths today, which we'll be busting with Coach Saba Fatima. So thank you so much, Saba, for being here with us and, giving us your time and, doing a session for us. Thank you so much. So Saba is a health coach here at Sugarfit. She has over 2 years of experience, and she has so many, clients on Sugarfit who have seen amazing results and have also reversed diabetes. So if you have any questions you would like to, to ask her, you can certainly, drop in your questions in the comments. And towards the end of the session, we'll try to take up as many questions as we can. But over to you, Saba. Is there anything you would like to say before we start? Okay, I think you're on mute.
Right. So as you rightly introduced, I've been working with Sugarfit and I do have experience of about 2 years. It's been lovely working with a lot of clients with diabetes. And also, I think the amazing part is that we're living in a world where diabetes is reversible now, right? So, well, yeah, whatever knowledge we have, we'll be more than happy to share it with you all. And whatever doubts or concerns or queries that you have, you can put up in the comment section, right? And we'll take it up. And before that, we have a few pointers that we'd like to share with you. Post that, we'll be taking your questions.
Great. I'll just go ahead and start sharing the screen.
Yeah.
Yeah, hope the screen is visible now.
Yes, it is. Okay, so here we are today to bust a couple of very common myths that a lot of us have around diabetes. Right, so let's get started.
Just a minute. Yeah.
Okay, so the very first, say, myth or statement that we come across is eating too much sugar causes diabetes. I think a lot of us have been hearing this for over decades now. And next slide, Shifa. So, to a certain, say, a minimal extent, this is right. But, we must always remember that eating only sugar or say one particular factor does not end up in resulting in entire lifestyle condition. So while eating sugar does have a slight impact on directly rising your sugar levels to a certain extent, but it's not the sole factor to developing type 2 diabetes in the longer run. So what is actually the main cause? It's actually a cluster of factors, what we call as lifestyle factors, which are known as that are physical activity, as in lack of physical activity, improper diet, or poor quality of diet, meaning imbalanced meals that are high on fat, that are low on protein and fiber, and say elevated stress levels for a longer period of time, inadequate sleep or inadequate sleep quality, and also excessive smoking and alcohol consumption. So all of these put together over a certain period of time eventually results in type 2 diabetes. Yeah, next slide. Okay, so a little similar to what we just heard, we often come across that people with diabetes cannot eat sweets or desserts at all, right? Next slide. So yes, to again a certain extent, we can say, yes, we can't, but again, it's not a, it's not like we cannot eat forever, like for the rest of our lives. That is something we're trying to say is wrong. Rather, we always believe in moderation, right? So whenever it comes to your carbohydrate intake or say your little sweets and treats, or say, a little cheat meal, as we call it, it's always better to take it in moderation. And also, there's something called portion size that we must consider. Okay, ensuring that you take in say smaller proportions or smaller quantities. And the best way to go about it is, say, chew more, take a smaller quantity in the very first place, opt for smaller bowls or smaller plates wherein you can serve a small amount in the very first place, right? So we can definitely enjoy sweets to a certain extent, but one must always remember take it in moderate amounts. So we have a few tips that we like to give you in terms of how you can enjoy these sweets. So always consider taking nut-based or seed-based sweets. Say, for example, dry fruit laddus, or say your semia payasam. There is a lot of nuts added to it. But again, there are sweets that must be avoided to your very best efforts, that are deep fried and that have a lot of sugar syrups. For example, your gulab jamun or your rasgulla. Okay, such sweets should definitely be avoided to a great extent. And also, there's one really good thing that you can do before you head out to an event or have a heavy meal is take ACV. ACV stands for apple cider vinegar, which is a natural extract made from apple. So this you can drink diluted with water, say 10-15 minutes, or say even before you're heading out for your event. This helps in preventing and controlling your post-meal sugar spikes. Okay, and always remember, never take ACV just like that without diluting. It can cause some insensitivity to your gut, sensitivity to your gut and to your teeth or your, say, tongue. It may be very sour, right? So never take it just like that. Next slide, please. Right, now moving on. There's also another thing that we usually come across, is that only overweight or obese individuals get diabetes, right? So here again, I'd like to tell that it's not only weight per se that is, next slide please, that is having an impact. Rather, it is a contributing factor, no doubt. But again, there are a few other things like your genetics. Say your immediate blood relatives, like your parents or your grandparents, if they have it, you are likely to develop that condition as well. But we can't only blame it on genetics, right? We can't very easily blame it, because genetics plays only 25% of the game here. The majority depends on how you choose to live your life. Again, like we discussed in the previous slides, that poor diet, sedentary lifestyle, sedentary meaning not being too physically active, okay, and excess abdominal fat meaning the fat that is accumulated in your stomach region, okay, in the midriff of your body. And also visceral fat is basically a fat that is lining your internal organs, that is your vital organs, and also present within these organs. So fat, when it starts lining your internal organs, brings about a hamper, or it disturbs the normal functioning of these organs, thereby bringing about a disturbance of the hormonal secretion in your body, which is why the insulin secretion in your body changes, and the way your body perceives or recepts insulin, that changes. Eventually there are lifestyle conditions that are developed. Okay, and also we can't forget that smoking, alcohol, all of these things eventually lead to diabetes, or these are contributing factors for it. Next slide, please. Okay, so here again, we have this is again a very common thing that we're hearing these days. We need to detox or cleanse our bodies very regularly. So I wouldn't deny it completely, but next slide, please. But again, to a certain extent, we must remember that it's not only the drinks or the foods that we're taking from outside that alone contribute to detoxification of our body. No, we have an amazing, spectacular mechanism within our bodies itself that wherein our liver and kidneys are responsible, wherein these have that built-in detoxification systems, okay, which have the ability to effectively eliminate these wastes and toxins, right? Again, say these detox drinks and all of that, they may slightly contribute to the detoxification, meaning it'll say reduce bloating, or it can reduce the gastritis, or it can just give it a calming effect to the body. But there's no strong research or evidence to support the fact that these detox diets necessarily are required to say remove toxins or eliminate toxins from our body. And one amazing actually do is sleep on time, have a a really good sleep quality. Say get your 8 hours of sleep and try to sleep, say a little early by say 10:30, 11, wrap up your day early. These are the things that will actually bring your system back into the right functioning, and this detox, the growth and repair mechanism that happen in the body can take place the way they have to. Right? Yeah, next slide. Okay. So in order to promote this detoxification, the very first thing that we also must be doing is drink sufficient amount of water. Okay. If a lot of y'all have a trouble in remembering to drink water, if often you say that I forget to drink water, I don't feel like, just put up some reminders, because water, as we've all heard back in our childhood, is it makes up around 70% of our body, is what we've heard, right? So yes, water is important in every single metabolic process that happens within. Okay, and also these vegetables and fruits that are high on antioxidants and vitamins, these help in improving our gut health and digestion, which thereby have a beneficial impact on the detoxification process. Okay, now there's another thing that we often hear is artificial sweeteners. We believe that this is a very safe or say a quick alternative for people who have diabetes. Right, next slide. So we often say that, okay, if you're not allowed to take sugar, we often think jaggery is the next best option or honey is the next best option. So I would like to make this clear as well, that all these three, whether it's sugar, honey, or jaggery, all these have a similar glycemic effect on your sugars, meaning they rise sugars in a similar manner. Okay, so there's no short alternative for sugar in the first place. And also when it comes to artificial sweeteners, although we know that it will not rise your sugar levels to a certain extent the way sugar does, but it gives the sweetened effect to your dishes. But from the very word artificial, we must be aware that in the long run, with say excessive usage, when we're exploiting it to a certain level, there are going to be certain health impacts, right? And again, moderation is key for almost everything, isn't it? Because we still don't have, say, a lot of research also on this, that it's completely safe, or say it is the very alternative. No. So the very best thing that you can be doing is take it in small, moderate amounts, and also ensure that you try and get used to the fact of, it's all about developing a taste, training your taste buds at the end of the day, right? Next slide, please. And yeah, the next one is people with diabetes can't eat fruits. Okay, yeah, next slide. Well, so again, fruits are not our enemies, as I would say, because they are an amazing, say, food group, which come in with a lot of fiber, vitamins, and minerals, which are definitely important and beneficial in our normal and good functioning for our health. But again, there are certain fruits that we can take, and in a certain way, which is take fruits as a whole and not as a fruit juice. Why? Because you're losing out on the fiber part of it. Also, avoid taking canned or packed juices that have very little pulp and a whole lot of water and sugar and say artificial sweeteners added to it. Okay, especially the fruit juices that you get outside with say real fruit or real fruit extract. They do have real fruit extract, but it is in a very small quantity. But overall, that quantity is made up with excess amount of water and sugar. Okay, or it could be artificial sweeteners. Okay, and whenever you take fruits, next slide, please. And whenever you take fruits, opt for fruits that are high on say citrus or vitamin C, like say guava, oranges, musambi, and berries of all kinds like strawberries and blueberries, all of these have wonderful benefits because these come with a lot of antioxidants, okay, which have a beneficial effect. And also, remember, whenever you have a fruit, ensure to take 1 to 2 teaspoons of seeds before that. Okay, it could be your chia seeds or flax seeds or any other kind. But ensure to take 1 to 2 teaspoons of seeds prior to your fruit and then take that. Okay, and also pair it with probably some yogurt or some nuts also to prevent or reduce excessive sugar spikes post that. And just adding on one more thing to this, the best time for you to take fruits is between your breakfast and lunch. Okay, try and avoid taking fruits after dinner or with your meals. All right, that is something you must avoid. And now people with diabetes cannot eat out or enjoy social occasions. Next slide. So here again, like we previously discussed when we were talking about sweets, again, there is no thing like you cannot eat at all, right? All we're trying to say is whenever you're heading outside, make informed choices. First of all, plan ahead and go to a place where you have say multi cuisine options, or say where you can probably get some salads, or where you can probably get foods that aren't say very high on these say carb foods. For example, you can opt for buffets, or you can opt for say large spreads, wherein you can opt for protein based foods as much as possible. Say, for example, when you're dining outside, a lot of people ask us when we go to the weddings, what do we eat? Right. So for veg options, you can always take, say, soya chap or your tikkis that are made from chana, or paneer tikka, or say these baby corn starters that we have. And when it comes to non-vegetarian diet, you can opt for chicken or fish, okay, or seafood. So these things are high on protein. Definitely, they will fill your stomach, and they're definitely yummy as well. And the things that you must go low are on your naan and rotis that are made from maida, because these have a high carb uh, say quantity, and they will definitely have a direct impact on your sugar levels. Okay, and also it's best to start your meal with vegetables. Say, for example, from a basic restaurant to, say, a restaurant that has a lot of varieties, there's no place that you can't find basic vegetables, right? So even if you're stopping by and just visiting a dhaba, all you can request is for a few cut pieces of, say, cucumber, or say onions or carrot. Simple vegetables. It doesn't have to be fancy. When the moment we say salads, people perceive it as something very fancy. It doesn't have to be fancy. Basic vegetables. So start your meal with these vegetables, and then opt for protein-based foods, as I mentioned, and also options that are baked or grilled or tandoor or steamed. These are always the better options. Try and avoid deep fried as much as possible. Okay. And also, walking after your meal, say half an hour after meal is what we always suggest. So 30 minutes post your meal, go for a 10-15 minutes of workout, or go for a quick jog. Okay, or you can do a couple of squats. All right, some physical activity that can prevent the sugar peak that will be happening after 1 hour. Next slide. Right, and here we have people with diabetes need to have frequent meals that are spread throughout the day, right? So next one. This is, again, I would say slightly debatable, or very specific, subject specific, I would say, because a lot of people prefer taking, say, large meals, and they feel giving that 4 hours gap between each meal is better, and it also works for a few people. But for some who often have this issue of cravings, or they feel they're not able to eat in one go, and they always like to have a snack in between, again, that is completely okay. But it's important that whatever meals that we're having, especially the three major meals, ensure that you're balancing it very well. For example, the thumb rule of a diabetic diet is 50% vegetables, 25% carbs, and 25% protein. Okay, wherein your vegetables can be your sabzi and your salad all put together. Okay, and when you're sequencing your meals, as we previously discussed, start with your vegetables and then your protein and then your carbs. This way, you tend to feel less hungry after a meal. Your hunger is better satisfied, or we can say you feel more satiated, and this will further prevent your hunger pangs. Okay, and even if you tend to have some say hunger pangs, or if you feel like just munching in between, something in between, first thing you can have a fruit with a couple of nuts or seeds, as we mentioned, and probably in the evening you can have some makhana bhel, or say some roasted chana or roasted peanuts, some of these things. But again, let's always let's always try and avoid snacks that are high, or foods that are high on refined carbs, like biscuits and cookies and things like that. Okay, so frequent meals depends on say an individual also, I would say. And also very, very important to feel satiated is chew very well, take your time, sit in a peaceful atmosphere while you're eating. Okay, and the way we usually say, listen to your hunger cues. Okay, so again, this is a whole different topic where we would talk about emotional eating and all of that. So first, try and understand whether you're actually feeling hungry, or it's your mood that is wanting you to eat something. Okay, this is also very important. Okay, and again, eat slowly, make sure that you're chewing well, avoid having, say, talking too much between your meals or having too many distractions while you're eating. All of these will add on to the satiety that you were talking about. Next slide. Okay, so Bittergourd and fenugreek alone can help reverse diabetes. So this has been quite famous for years now. Okay, next slide, Shifa. So we've often heard that करेले की सब्जी खा लो, या have some methi ke dane and you're good to go. And then after that, do anything and everything, your diabetes is for sure going to be cured. Okay, so it's a funny thing, but yes, Bittergourd and fenugreek does have a good impact on your sugar levels, right? Scientifically also, it does have say potential benefits in managing and reducing or preventing your post-meal sugar spikes, but there's no one set rule for all. Okay, it's not like only these two are more than enough to improve your insulin sensitivity, reduce your insulin resistance in the body. Okay, and these again cannot be a complete alternative to a balanced diet and say adding physical activity to your routine. All of these can just be swapped with Bittergourd or fenugreek, is what we're trying to explain. These can be added to your routine that has balanced diet, some physical activity, good sleep quality, good say sleep routine or sleep hygiene. Okay, all of these come together in enabling your diabetes reversal or your diabetes management. Okay, let alone that these two do not have say autonomy over taking care of your diabetes reversal. It doesn't happen like that. Next slide, please. Okay, again, this is a lot that we come across as well. Ayurvedic or herbal medicines, or say alternative medicines can cure diabetes. But here again, just a general say what we'd like to take is, no, not a single medicine alone can cure your diabetes. Okay, so I'm sure a lot of people with diabetes here on the platform, or the ones who have joined us today, a lot of you must be taking insulin for years, or you may be taking medications for years. Has your diabetes cured? I'm sure a lot of y'all must have gone ahead and seen a lot of other doctors in line of medicines. But what we must understand is how you live is what has resulted or what has impacted this disease in the first place. So medicine alone is not going to change that. It's not going to reverse your life by those many years, right? So any medicine for that matter, be it allopathy, Ayurveda, or any other herbal medicine, it'll only assist. Okay, it'll only help you to a certain extent in managing, but nothing can be done, no reversal, no diabetes management can be done unless you choose to change the way you eat, the way you move. Okay, these are the three key factors: your diet, physical activity, and sleep. Without these three, there's nothing that we can achieve, irrespective of whatever superfood that you may take or whatever new medicine that comes into the market. All right, I hope I'm clear with this. So these were a couple of really common points that we wanted to convey. And now if y'all have any questions, we'll be happy to take that up.
Yes, thank you so much, Saba. So we do have, some questions that have been posted. I'll just quickly take them up and read it out to you so you can answer them, right? So one of the questions is how to avoid spikes, sudden ups and downs in sugar without any reason. How do you tackle a sudden and extremely heavy weight loss?
Shifa, can you post that? That was a very long sentence. So can you
Yeah,
just
sure.
post that
I'll
question?
just share it with you. Yeah. Are you able to view it now?
So, yeah, I can. So it says how to avoid spikes, sudden ups and downs in sugar without any reason, how to tackle sudden extreme heavy weight loss. Okay. So let's break this question up. First of all, how to avoid spikes or sudden fluctuations in your sugars. Firstly, what we must understand is what are the factors that are contributing to this. Okay, again, like we saw in our previous discussion, that inappropriate, imbalanced, inadequate meals, first of all, can cause the sudden highs and sudden lows. Okay, for example, if your meal is high on carbs, it'll shoot up like that. If any of you all have seen a CGM and how things work on a CGM, it just goes up like a mountain and then there's a fall, right? So for that, meal sequencing, as I told, like start with fiber and then your protein and carbs, this will say result in a sequential or say like a gradual rise and then a gradual fall. This is in terms of diet. Okay, again, say if you believe stress is one of the major factors, again we must understand what are the things that are contributing to that stress of yours. It could be work, it could be anything, or say it could even be a workout. So there are a couple of workouts that do not suit a lot of people. So in such a case, it's always better to consult your say doctor or your health coach and understand why a certain thing is happening. And if you understand that a certain say workout is not suiting your body, then it's best to avoid that or taper down the intensity or time duration, all of that. Okay, and again, there is nothing like there's no reason for sudden ups and downs, right? There's always a reason. It's for us to understand why there is. And how to tackle sudden extreme heavy weight loss. First, understand how this happened. Always go back in time and understand, was it a certain kind of diet or a routine that happened? It could be some trauma, it could be a health condition, or it could be an adverse or drastic dietary modification that could have led to this.
Got it, Saba. So there is another question which is asking, how do you take ACV?
Yeah, so ACV, like I mentioned, always diluted with water. So the basic way of starting it off is 1 teaspoon of apple cider vinegar with 1 glass of water, which is approximately 150 to 200 ml. And this can be taken, say, 15-20 minutes before your meal. Always start with 1 teaspoon as a starter.
Got it. So there is another question, right? So Vandana was asking, what is the ideal percentage of visceral fat? Is there any ideal, visceral fat percent?
Again, this differs for men and women. Okay, women, again, as we're aware that our bodies tend to have higher fat as compared to men. Okay. And again, in women, we're expected to have, say, 14-15%. In men, it's always expected to say be below 9 to 10%. It's like that.
Got
And
it.
again, it also further depends on your body type. And again, there's no one set rule for all, right? Your age can also be one of the factors.
Okay, got it. So Rajiv sir has asked, I have started insulin with my doctor's advice. He's asking, is it right? From the beginning, his fasting was 262 and post meal was 468.
Okay. So elevated, in a lot of cases, elevated sugar levels for a long period of time, if your doctor has seen that transition wherein OHAs or say these oral glycemic drugs haven't worked well for you, and if insulin was the only resolve, then yes, your body does need that assistance. But so I think you can always start with these lifestyle changes and see, and probably try and taper your insulin, say by 2 units, and see how things are working for you each time. So, probably you can start a certain routine and see how well it's suiting you. And always consult your health coach or your diabetes expert before going about with these changes.
So another question is by Mr. Ramachandran. So he's asking, can people with type 2 diabetes, can they eat fruits?
Yes, we spoke about that for so long. Yes, you can have fruits, but avoid fruits that are high on glycemic index, like your bananas, like banana robusta, and mangoes, which is also in season now. And we can avoid these to a certain extent. And the fruits that can be taken are the ones that are high on, say, citric acid or your vitamin C, like your Mosambi, oranges, and your berries. And always, whenever you take a fruit, start with 2 teaspoons of seeds or pair it along with your yogurt or dahi or say some nuts.
Got it. Thank you, Saba. So there is another question, right? So I think this is in regards to meal sequencing since we've spoken about it. So she's asking, Vandana was asking, how can we eat roti in the end? Mostly we have our roti, that is the carb with vegetables. So how do we go about this?
Perfect. I'm so glad someone asked this. So when I said that you must be taking say your carbs in the end, I didn't mean finish your sabzi and then eat your roti as a by itself. No, what I meant is start with your salad. Okay, have a good amount of protein. Okay, say for example, your simple plate on a regular day, your plate could look like a katori of salad, which could just be a cucumber, one sabzi, say probably 2 eggs or 2 boiled eggs, and one roti. So what we're expecting you to do is start with your salad and then finish your eggs and then have your roti and sabzi along. Okay, so here by the time you have your sabzi and your protein, that is your eggs or any other protein source that you're taking, what happens is it goes down and it sort of forms a lining in your gut, which prevents sudden glucose spike. Okay, so it forms a shield or a mesh, anything that you call it, and it prevents from a sudden glucose spike that we often see after a meal.
Got it. Thank you, Sabas. There is another question which Agnes ma'am has asked. What is diabetes reversal?
Okay, so diabetes reversal, as we define it here at Sugarfit, we're trying to say that we will bring down your levels, say 6.5 and below, which is your type 2 diabetes reversal. Okay, and we will ensure that your say medications are reduced, the dosage, the combination of medicines, and you're on plain metformin. So when you're on metformin and when your say type 2 diabetes levels are below 6.4, okay, and in case of pre-diabetes it's below 5.7, and you're only on plain metformin, then that we consider as reversal. Again, just to reiterate, diabetes reversal is not, say, a common thing. It's not like it's possible for every single individual. Again, we first see your condition and say for how many years it's been, what are the kind of medication, the time duration for this reversal or management. All of that depends and differs from person to person.
Got it. So we have another question, right? So this is by Mr. Raghavan. So he's saying that he takes tea twice a day with milk. So he's asking for advice. So I think a lot of people have this, especially in India, we do have like our morning chai and evening chai, like a tea time. So what is your advice on that? Like, what would you suggest, for people who like to take tea or coffee?
First of all, if you feel that, say the timing is, if it's something that you're habituated to, if you feel you cannot miss it at all in the morning and evening, you want it 2 times a day, first try, and if you are taking it with sugar, say 1 teaspoon of sugar, try and reduce it to half a teaspoon. If you're taking with half a teaspoon, try and reduce it further. If you're taking a large quantity, say 1 huge cup, try and reduce the quantity of the say tea that you're taking. Okay, if you're adding too much milk, reduce the milk and add some water to it. Okay, because there's no way that you can, even if I tell you to stop taking it and take it just once a day, it's not possible, right? Because we've been habituated for quite some time. So at whatever level you are, try and reduce it to one step down. Okay.
Got it. Thank you, Saba. So there's another question, right? So Krishna Priya ma'am is asking, so she's just diagnosed with diabetes around 15 days ago, and her HbA1c is 5.9. So to anyone who is, recently diagnosed, do you have, any suggestion or tip for them?
Right. So this is, I would again say, the ones who are recently diagnosed, it's the best time for you to take control of your diabetes and work towards your reversal journey. First best thing, start balancing your meals. Okay, always ensure that you start with a portion of raw vegetables. Why we stressing on raw vegetables? Because the fiber is the most in your raw vegetables. Okay, and then start with a small physical activity regime. If you do not have any physical activity regime at all, start with say 10 minutes of walk or 15 minutes of walk. Okay, split it across three say time durations, say 5 minutes after your breakfast and then lunch and dinner. Okay, slowly and steadily increase their intensity. Okay, try and join some say online workouts if you believe investing in a gym is a concern, because again, if you have a if you have a high BMI, if you're also focusing at weight loss, make sure that you make that as one of your goals as well, because weight loss is again highly dependent and say directly related to your diabetes reversal and maintaining good sugar levels. So physical activity and diet is a key to maintaining these things.
Got it. Thank you so much, Sabah. So we have a couple more questions. I'll just quickly take them up. So Bhaskar sir is asking, if we take if we do all the physical work and we manage our diet, we manage our exercise, will insulin help me?
I didn't quite get that. Can I hear it again?
Got it. Yes, sure. So basically, I think Bhaskar sir is on insulin right now. And he's saying that if I, manage my diet properly and if I start with physical activity, will the insulin help me? Like, will it, be of any benefit for me?
Okay. So again, like we discussed, it also depends on for how long you've had your diabetes and at what, there's also this thing called, say, how much insulin resistance is there in your body. Again, there are a couple of tests that you have to get these things known. So if there is, say, a high level of insulin resistance and if your C-peptide levels are very low, then diabetes reversal is almost impossible. But yes, with these lifestyle changes and your regular medication, you can maintain it within, say, safe levels. But when you say will it help, maybe you can say prevent it by it shooting to very high level like 400 or 500, right? You can prevent it and safe and manage it within safe levels, yes. But yeah, if your resistance is not very high, we've also seen cases where users have come in with 36 or 40, 50 units of insulin, and they've come out of the entire insulin regime, and they were on just medicines, and eventually that medication is also reduced. So there are both kinds of cases that we've seen. Okay, again, we would first like to understand what your case is like, and then I think we'll be able to better help you.
Got it. There is another question, right? So they're asking, is there like a good timing for taking meal? Like, is there like an ideal meal timing?
Okay, so especially when it comes to, let's start from dinners. Okay, why? Because your dinner routine has an impact on a lot more things, which is your sleep routine, your sleep timing, your fasting sugars, all of these, right? So it's always suggested that you have early dinners, say as early as around sunset, 6:30, 7. Well, that is the ideal sunset time for us in India, right? So that is the best time for your dinners. Give a good 2.5 to 3 hours gap between your dinner and sleep. Why? Because your body is taking that time to settle down, digest that food, and this again prevents, say, enormous high sugar rise that happens in the middle of the night. Why? Because your body is actually metabolizing that food in the night. Okay, so for dinner, it's around, say, 6:30, 7. And for your lunch again, say 12:30 to 2, 1:30 to 2, that's again great. And breakfast again, it depends on what is your wake up timing. And say an ideal time would be between 8:30 and 10 maximum. Okay, again, if there are people who are on IF, intermittent fasting, and all of that, things are different for those as well.
Got it. So another question, Saba, I think this is again in regards to the tea, right? So they're asking, without sugar, if you drink tea with milk 4 times a day, will there be a sugar spike?
Yes. Why? A very interesting way of asking this question. So again, this question I can relate to the very first myth that we spoke, where we told sugar alone does not cause diabetes, right? So here, sugar is not the only evil. Rather, your milk as well has its own natural sugar, which is your lactose. Okay, so anything that is high on your carbs, if you're taking in regular intervals for a long period of time, will have an impact on your sugar levels. Okay, so yes, even if you take it without sugar 4 times a day, it will have an impact. So always, like we mentioned, moderation is key. Try and reduce the, if you are habituated of taking it 4 times or 5 times, some of you have it and we understand. Very first thing, start cutting down on the quantity and then follow some of the steps that we mentioned.
Got it. So another question is by Mr. Cholan. So he's asking, in the morning breakfast, can I have 4 eggs? So I think again the quantity of eggs is something which everyone is very, having a lot of questions about. So can you just, throw some light on that?
Okay, so again, eggs, I think the most debatable topic is whether you take it as a whole or just egg whites or with yolks. Okay, this again, so it's a very subjective topic, I would say, because your protein content or your protein requirement for the day depends on your body weight, depends on your age, depends on the medical conditions, if any, that you have. Okay, if your doctor or your dietitian or your health coach, uh, after assessing all these parameters, has given you a go ahead, yes, you can take it. But again, for in a long period of time, say for years together, you're taking 4 eggs with yolk, then in terms of your cholesterol levels, it may have a certain impact. Okay, but again, this is highly subjective. I cannot say a complete yes or no to this because right now I'm not aware of your uh, say other details like weight, height, and other conditions that you have.
Got it. So there are a couple more questions. I'll just go ahead and take them as well. So this is by Ivneet ma'am. So she's asking, how can we add Chinese cuisine to our diet? Do you have any tips to add Chinese food into, to a diabetes friendly diet?
Adding Chinese food to a diabetes friendly diet.
Yes.
Okay. So, all right. I think again here, the most common food that comes to our mind when we think of Chinese is noodles, right? Say your Hakka noodles or your fried rice. But again, try and cut down on your carb-rich foods, which is your rice and noodles and all of that. You can often start with, say, your starters or say your protein-based foods like we spoke about, say your baby corn manchuri or say your paneer manchuri. Okay, things like these at least have some protein, although they have all of those sauces added to it, but it's a better option to have when compared to your noodles or rice. Okay. Always remember to keep your say your diabetic, whenever you're on a diabetic diet, keep carbs only 1/4 of your plate. The remaining 50% has to be your vegetables, and the other 1/4 has to be your protein.
Got it. Thank you, Sabash. There's another question, right? So they're asking, I eat less now to keep my sugar levels in control, but I'm always hungry. So in that case, what can what can a person do?
Okay, so when you say you're eating less, again, probably you're referring to I'm eating less rotis or I'm eating less rice, because the moment we say that we need to say bring modifications in our diet, people immediately say, if I eat just one roti or two rotis, how am I ever going to feel full? Okay, so in such a case, meal sequencing, as we discussed, will really help. Trust me, give it a try for a few days. Start with your salads. Ensure that there's a good, healthy protein in every single meal that you eat, and try and meet that protein requirement, the per day protein requirement, and then see how your hunger pangs will reduce, how the satiety of your meals will start increasing. Okay, and also say probably you're doing all of this and you still feel hungry, there could be some medications that could be causing these hunger pangs, so discuss with your doctor on this. There could be some drugs that don't suit all of us, most of us, so you can discuss with your doctor and get that changed. Okay, so these are some things that you can pay focus.
Got it. So Safa, there is another question, right? So they're asking, we always advise like yogurt or paneer, but not taking a lot of milk, but both are made from then the main source is the product is milk. So why is that?
Okay, so when we're talking a lot about yogurt, why we're saying this is there's something called live bacteria that are added to yogurt. Okay, which makes it very gut friendly. Okay, gut friendly as in again that have a very good impact on your say digestive system, your intestines, your gut health. Okay, why? Because these healthy bacteria that are added to yogurt, they further go ahead and improve the way your gut absorbs nutrients, the way it responds to the food intake. Okay, and this is the reason why we ask you to take a lot of, again, not a lot, just one portion of yogurt is what we suggest. But again, this is much, say, uh, better in terms of as an option when compared to milk.
Got it. Thank you, Sabah. So we'll just take a couple more questions before we end the session, right? So one question is, by Miss Shailaja. So she's basically asking that she takes one slice of bread with her early morning coffee to start her days. So is it okay to take a slice of bread or rusk?
All right. So always starting your day with just plain carbs. Okay. And in this case, it's your rusk or bread. This will have a very, it'll have a sudden, enormous spike post your breakfast. Why? Because these are made from maida. Okay. There's no fiber in this. All right. And protein again is completely absent. So the things or the shields that we were talking about of the ones that prevent your sugar spike are all absent in this. Okay. So, and the very first meal of your day, okay, also the way you start your day, the way you, the way you start your day in terms of your sugar fluctuations has a lot to say and a lot to do with how your body feels and performs throughout the day. Okay, when you just start with, say, sudden fluctuations, the hunger pangs, sugar cravings, your productivity, the general wellness of your body, all of these do get impacted. That's why it's important that you start your meal, especially the first meal of the day, is high on protein and fat. Okay, again, fat, when we say it's healthy fat.
Okay, thank you, Sapa. So another question uh, by this person is basically they're asking, what are some good protein options in your diet apart from egg whites?
So, in terms of vegetarian options, as we already discussed, we have, say, all your legumes like your chana, rajma, all these beans, soybeans, say soya chunks, okay, your dal, and paneer also, paneer, tofu, all these. And in terms of your non-vegetarian, the best sources would be your chicken, fish, seafood. And also, it's better to avoid red meat because of the cholesterol aspect.
Okay, thank you, Saba. So we'll just take two more questions before we end the session. So one of the questions is, can you tell me a little bit about the sugar-free tablet? Right? I know we already discussed about the artificial sweeteners, but can you just maybe go a little bit in detail about, like sugar-free tablets and, what is a, safe alternative if someone is looking for, to take an artificial sweetener?
All right. So again, sugar-free tablets are nothing but your artificial sweeteners. At the end of the day, it could either be aspartame or something on the similar lines. Okay, as we discussed, in the longer run, this is not helpful. The only thing that we suggest, but again, we do not recommend to use it in full-fledged, is your natural sweetener, which is your stevia. Okay. But again, in terms of research, we do not have, say, a short research backup wherein it says over a long period of time, say, in whatever quantity that you're taking, it's not going to do any harm. Okay. It does prevent sugar spike. It does not have the kind of sugar spike that your plain white sugar and jaggery and all of these have. But this is just a healthier alternative for occasional consumption in moderation. So these words have to be taken very seriously: occasional consumption and in moderation. Okay, these aren't your only alternative for the rest of the life. It's not like that.
Got it. So we'll just take one last question before we end, Sabah. So this is by Mr. Karthik. So he's saying that his fasting sugar level was around 238 at around 6:30 a.m. After which he went to, went for badminton for about 2 hours, right? And after that, when he checked his sugar levels, it was around 380, but then he did not eat anything. So why is it that, his sugar levels have increased?
Okay. So, firstly, when you go for a sport, especially when you're aware that you're going to play for so long, if it's a high intensity sport, it's always recommended that you take a small snack before you go. Again, this is because we've fasted for about, say, 8 to 10 hours or 12 hours. and going on an empty stomach can say result in low energy. And also, why this is told is because here the way he rightly mentioned, it was 238, and then at the end of the game it was around 380. So what has happened here is, when you did not replenish your body with that nutritional requirement, like your body needed energy to play that sport, right? So to play for 3 hours, it's not an easy task for your body. It does need energy, and you've just woken up from your sleep, you haven't eaten anything. So what your body does is, all of us have a glucose storage, which is in the liver. Okay, in terms of emergency situations where we haven't fed our body well, and there is a certain activity that we're doing which requires great energy, this glucose store is converted and gives energy. So although you did not eat anything, what happened is your body kept releasing that glucose from your liver, which thereby resulted in an increased or elevated sugar level by the end of your game. Okay, here also, this is also in similar lines to what I mentioned a little earlier, that there could be a few sports that do not suit everyone. Okay, so probably badminton as a sport does not suit you, or maybe that intensity or that duration does not suit you, or probably you can just try taking a snack prior to your sport, and then go ahead and do your workout or sport and see what is the difference. Again, one advice to all of you: when your sugar levels are above 200, 250, do not engage in high intensity sports or workouts. Okay, because even in it's not only in your low sugar levels that you can say faint, or you can have some emergencies, but even when your sugar just suddenly shoots up, your body can collapse, or there can be any medical emergency. So anytime you see that your sugars are above 200 or 250, do not engage in high intensity sports. It can be life threatening as well.
Got it. Thank you so much, Saba. I think that was the last question. Thank you so much for such a wonderful presentation, and answering all the questions so patiently. And I just want to thank all the participants as well for putting in all of your questions. They were such great questions, and I hope all of your doubts got clear today. We'll have such sessions every single week, so please do join in. And thank you so much, Saba, again for joining in.
You're most welcome, Shifa, for the opportunity. I hope the knowledge that we gave out today was really beneficial for all the people that joined us today.
Thank you so much, Saba. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining in. Take care and have a wonderful evening.